Thank you so much for allowing me to come and present this here. I'm very new to CDI compared to many of you who have been here in this industry for like 10 to 12 years or more. I've been a CDI specialist for 3 years. I remember Sarah's face. I saw you presenting sepsis at Atlanta, Georgia, and I don't see any other familiar faces. I don't know if anybody attended my presentation at Atlanta. I'm not sure. So I was asked to do the same presentation here because I was told that many people were not able to go from the chapter to attend this. And so I was asked if I could do it, and I'm very happy to be here. So the presentation that I did was with Dr. Karl Kokendorfer, who happens to be my boss, the Chief Health Information Officer. He's also the Assistant CMO. He's a genius. And it would be nice if he was there next to me to do this, but he is a very busy person and he's got lots of other things to do, so I said I will do it myself. And I have a manager, actually she's vacationing in India right now. One of my colleagues is in Italy vacationing. And another colleague of mine is busy with some problems with her kids, so she couldn't make it, so I'm the only one here to represent everybody. So I come from University of Illinois, Chicago. And I'm really thrilled to know so much about Rush University. You're our neighbors. We should collaborate and learn from each other. We have us as a new baby department, and we will have lots of things to learn from you guys. And so nice to see all of you. How many of you are here? Like 15 of you? Okay, so now getting on with my presentation. Kiss my query. I mean, this is a phrase that came up during our meeting. Like when we tell physicians, we always say, you know, they don't like us because we keep bothering them and things like that. So whether it just came out of the manager's mouth that whether they like it or not, we have to kiss our query. So we just thought it would be a humorous, title for our presentation. So we adapted it. So I'm going to talk about the CDI model for achieving and maintaining a 100% query response rate for inpatient neurosurgical service, and how we started the department. Why did we start this department as it is as of now, and how to basically on how to maintain success, department by department. So the learning objectives that we have for this presentation is that at the end of this educational activity, you will be able to recognize the need of a CDI program in your hospital. List the 3 components for CDI success. Describe the strategies used in the initiation of the CDI program. Enumerate the steps involved in achieving and maintaining a 100% response rate with neurosurgery service line. And discuss the future plans for the CDI program at the University of Illinois. So a little bit about our hospital. University of Illinois Hospital and Health Sciences System. So now we are called not UIC, we are UIHHSS. It is located at the heart of Chicago in Illinois Medical District. It's an academic medical center with 495 licensed beds. It also incorporates 19 clinics throughout the city. And we have 558 board certified physicians on staff. So we have a big task. We have to teach all these people how to document properly. And the University of Illinois Medical School is the largest in the nation. It is a tertiary care hospital, and a large number of patients are transferred to UI Health from outside facilities throughout the city and bordering states for higher level of care. The patients who are served at UI Health comprise of a very diverse socioeconomic group, with approximately 50% of admissions listing Medicaid or Medicaid managed care as their insurers. So the first program, the CDI program, started in 2008 under the Health Information Management System, and there were three CDI specialists. It was nurse-driven. We worked under the coders, and the program was actually discontinued after 2 years. They just, probably somebody went and joined you guys, I don't know, or some other hospital. But they're not there anymore. So what happened was that they were under the coders and they sent out queries. Nobody really responded. There was no physician education, no one to follow up, and then the coders really didn't understand the CDI part of the whole query process, so it didn't work. So it just died. So the lack of success was attributed to inadequate medical staff education regarding CDI. Nobody ever believed it. Any query they got, they just ignored it. So poor physician engagement in responding to the queries. There was no physician liaison or advisor for them, and lack of integration of CDI outcomes with the organizational goals, and need for an ongoing stakeholder commitment. None of these things were there. They just put together a department with 3 RNs and didn't do very well. So then they thought of they said that, okay, this is not working, so we're just what to do about it. So then they said, they knew that there's a loss of revenue, a lot of money is going out the doors without a CDI department. So they did call in a consultant from Optum to come and review and see if there is a room for, to start a CDI department. And that's how my manager, she came as a consultant from Optum to do this review. And so when she did the review, she really saw that there was a big room for improvement if you start a CDI department. So why did they consider this CDI program? Is because increasing importance of publicly reported data. The University Health Consortium data is the one that we use for reporting our hospital. It showed that we have a significant room for improvement. Incorporation of quality metrics into Medicare reimbursement, and conversion of many payers from quality-based reimbursement system rather than a per diem payment. So that prompted that we should again look into starting a new CDI department. So this was a polling question. I'm not going to go. This was during our presentation in Atlanta. So the components that we identified as the components that are required for achieving success is, first of all, we have to have senior leadership engagement, provide key stakeholders with a clear understanding of the impact of the CDI program, because if they don't believe in it, then we won't reach anywhere. Engage senior management in establishing and promoting goals for CDI success that aligns with the institutional goals. Identify a service line champion for each medical department, and tie incentives to improve in performance, if possible, financial, recognition of achievement, etc. And this is how we started. When we talk money, then people respond. When we say, if you respond to our queries and you keep 100%, we're going to give you so much money. So then they will be, then there were other, so that's how we started it. It's not that way anymore. But when we started, when they saw that, the other departments were like, what can we do? Can we do something to get some money? So instead of them ignoring us, it was like, oh, we want to be in this. So the second key component is the physician education. So provide CDI education tailored to each services. So if you want to talk to neurosurgery, the things that impact neurosurgery are the things you have to teach them. They have no time to listen to something that happens with CHF or a bed sore. They have no time. So you have to tailor to their needs, and just each time we have a meeting, we're given like 5 to 15 minutes. And 15, usually they say 15, we get like 5 minutes. So in that 5 minutes, we have to talk what is relevant to them only, and that's it. So frequently reinforce basic concepts of CDI with CDI meetings with each medical department, and engage physician advisors in communicating expectations from the physicians. The third key component was to have a consistent query process with follow-up. We established a procedure for each step in the query process and developed specific timelines for compliance, and engage the physician advisors in communicating with providers whenever there was a compliance issue. I'm sure all of you, everybody who has a CDI program is doing all these. This is nothing new. I'm just telling you how we were able to start off and keep it going. So the CDI program focuses on quality of provider documentation rather than reimbursement, because the moment you talk about money and reimbursement to physicians, they think about that they're not doing the right thing. We don't work for getting more money for the patients. This is how so we are asked not even to talk about money. CDI doesn't talk about money. So when all the important diagnoses are documented correctly, the other objectives will be achieved. So if you do accurate documentation, or your appropriate reimbursement will come in. There will be improved risk of mortality scores, improved quality data for patient safety, and enhanced quality of patient care. So improved results will not only be for that one chart or for that period, but it will impact all future documentation and quality metrics reporting and reimbursement based on the current data. So when we send one query, we expect that we educate the physician on one query. So obviously that if he's a good physician, he would follow that. And you don't have to keep telling your BMI is 40, so it's a morbid obesity, write it for me. If he sees another 40 BMI and above, he should be writing it. Doesn't happen. but that's a good thing too, because it's our bread then. Yeah. So what else is results in achievement of goal? Change in the provider's documentation culture. So it's not about the response to an individual query, as I said. What the providers are learning overall about documentation is very important, and the way that providers document all the time. So once they start documenting that all the time, then you will see that there is no need to query them. So there are some things that actually we were able to achieve, especially with neurosurgery, like the hypernatremia, whether it was therapeutic, non-therapeutic. When we asked a few times, then after that, without our asking, they started writing that. Another thing was about the weakness, the right-sided weakness, left-sided weakness. They started in the beginning when we asked them, they were they were kind of resistant, but later on, when repeatedly we started sending queries, they were writing left hemiparesis, right hemiparesis, without our asking. Although there's a coding clinic now that you could assume and take it, but they're writing it, so it's all the better. So the program goal metrics were to measure current performance to medical services and to establish a baseline. So we started from measuring the CC-MCC capture rate, the CMI, which is the case mix index, the query response rate, the length of stay data, and the severity of illness and the risk of mortality, performance, quality. So this was another polling question that we used. So initial focus was to start on a single medical service. So when we started off the program, actually we started with Medicare. We were only 2 of us that were hired, and we didn't even have a manager. The manager came in later. So I was the first one that was hired from Lutheran General. I had 9 months of CDI experience from there. And then my colleague was hired from the neurosurgery ICU department. So I was kind of helping her, and the consultant who actually did the evaluation for this program at the university, we requested her to not abandon us and go away. And she was kind enough to stay with us, and she became our manager, because I had not enough experience or qualification to become a manager of a department. So she stayed back, and she became the manager. So we were like 3 of us, a manager with 2 CDI specialists. And so we started off with the Medicare services in the beginning, and then we started one of us started concentrating on neurosurgery department. Okay. So why did we choose? This is Dr. Kaz. He's a very technological geek, and all the complicated things he would explain this very well. I cannot explain this. All I know is that they did this study, and they found that neurosurgery was the department that had the highest room for improvement, and where we could get big bucks, so we use that. So the strategies for measuring the CDI program success, we developed a consensus among the key stakeholders regarding the metrics that are most crucial to the organizational goals. We collect accurate and meaningful data over a specified period of time, and compare new data to the baseline, and compare baseline and new data to the ongoing performance, and prepare longitudinal graphics to easily demonstrate positive changes. So this was like the tracking over time. We started tracking our CMI. We have a statistician who helps us calculate this with the data that they get from the University Health Consortium on a monthly and quarterly basis. So before we started the program, that was in April 2013, when Paula, my manager, was evaluating the program, we were at 1.71. And as of now, We are at 2.31. Our case mix index has gone up to 2.31 in August of 2016. So this was like whenever there was a dip. We always try to make it funny and easy for everyone. So whenever there's a dip, we try to understand what happened. Why did we go down? What did we do different? So this was like they made fun because we are only two people. If one is off, the other one is doing only 50% of the work. So obviously it's going to be 50% less. So kind of funny. So also we started tracking for neurosurgery. What we did was like we started tracking based on the physician. So this physician, we sent this many queries and how quickly he responded. Did he agree to everything? So another good thing about neurosurgery department was it's not like an internal medicine department with 25 physicians. It's like their residents were like 4 or 5, and then we have attending physicians which are like 4 or 5. It was not very difficult for us to make sure that we talk to each one of them and get everyone on board, versus if we had chosen maybe internal medicine or something. So that was helpful too. So maintain regular communication with all the stakeholders. So we were providing monthly, quarterly, and annual CDI results to senior management and department leaders, and translate the data into meaningful quality and financial results to highlight positive program impact on institutional goals. As we all know, the CFO, the CMO, and everybody, they are interested to know how much the CMI has increased and how much money has come into the organization. Although we are asked not to talk about money, we don't talk. We as CDI should not talk about money, but when we are evaluated, we are always evaluated based on how much money we brought in. So then provide ongoing physician follow-up and training based on need analysis. Some additional thoughts on feedback to providers are people like to be successful, people like to feel appreciated, and people like to feel recognized. So as a CDI, sometimes you call and tell them, we are so happy that you responded within this, you're the best because you did it within 24 hours. So then there's a kind of a competition. Did I do the best? How was I this month? Or how did I do? That kind of thing. So when communicating with providers, CDI can help them feel positive about the improved documentation they provide, and sharing results at medical staff executive committee in front of all the department heads and service line chiefs. That's a biggie, because when all the leadership is in the room, the CFO, the CMO is there, and we say, your department did so well, the others will come up and ask you, what can my department do? Can you help? So that helps. And then follow an established procedure for queries that are consistent, and provide education on query process and response expectations to the providers, and have a process for unanswered queries that address the following, like follow-up communications between the CDI specialist and the provider, physician advisor's role, which is very critical in query process, and sometimes they don't take it from a nurse. When a nurse tells them to do this, it is not taken very well. So then we have to escalate it to a physician liaison or advisor who would actually have a one-to-one talk with them and explain and tell them why we are asking what we are asking. And develop physician education based on query issues. We have now, when we started, we actually we started targeting the most important departments. We were going one-to-one and going to each department, giving them a presentation and telling them this is a new department and we started, and this is what you're expecting from us, and this is what we are expecting from you, and things like that. Now, it's 2014 January that we started this program. So for 6 months or so we were doing that, and then we came up with the next idea is that we started having screensavers, so people know that we are around and this is what we do. And then we did posters and putting it on the computer wherever the physicians document. We have posters. We did have little badge, what do you call this, that you can hang in the most important CDI tips. They can hang it and look up and document when they want to. So we did different kind of things. Now the latest thing that we've done is we have a computer-based training for all physicians attending, all care providers like APNs and everybody, all legal care providers, that they have to mandatorily do every year. So it is for the new residents that come in, as well as for all the, just like how we do HIPAA training and all the yearly competencies that we have to do. They are required to do this as a competency yearly, every year. We also started teaching the medical students from Illinois Medical School, the 4th year, last year, residency. Once they are ready to, they're done with their course and they're ready to start their internship, we are given, well, they said they'll give us half a day to train them, but well, it's now like 1 hour. But we are happy with the 1 hour, so we go and tell them, at least it's not a surprise to them when they start working as physicians that where did these people appear from? Suddenly they asking me questions. And that's the biggest challenge that we have with the older physicians. The newer physicians are grateful for what we do, and they are very helpful, and they take it, whatever we tell them, but with the older physicians, they are like, I've been doing this for 50 years, who are you to tell me? So it's hard to. So I think it's a very good move from our Chief Health Information Officer, Dr. Carl, and his innovative ways and means of, being successful. So, and I think the medical students like it too, because they are kind of equipped to go out there and start their practice. So as I told you, I think I covered most of this thing already. So we started in 2014, January they hired. By the time we got all this in place, we started reviewing the charts like in April. And then we report to the Chief Health Information Officer, so we don't come under the coders anymore. We are a different department and they are a different department. We started with 1 CDI manager, 2 CDI specialists, and we have 2 part-time. We have 2 part-time physicians. We had 2 part-time physician liaisons who are like 10% of their time was devoted to CDI. One was from a surgical service and the other one is from a medical service. And now we've hired 2 more physician liaisons. And one of them is a technology geek, and he will help us only with our technology stuff, because the encoder that we have bought is the Optum encoder, and we are having a lot of problems with it. So he will try to iron out the things that Optum themselves are not able to help us, because Optum is basically built for Epic clients, and we are Cerner clients. So many things that Epic, they do with Epic, we are not able to do. So we still are like, there are some things we have to do manually. We have to open up 4 different applications to make all this work. So we'll have to open a Cerner chart. We'll have to open up the Optum, the encoder. We have to open up the the Outlook to send them the second, like the process. When I tell you, you will understand what I mean. So like 4 applications, and then we have reports that pull up, not like how the university wants us to have them by service line. They do it some other way, and they are not able to tell us how we can get it by service line. So now we hired this new person who's going to help us with all this. And then there's another physician liaison who's going to also help us with education, because it's with just 10% time for 2 busy physicians, we are not able to go and educate as much. So now we are trying to streamline all that. And we are also going to hire 2 more CDI specialists. The interview process will start in November. So because we are actually 3 CDI specialists as of now and 1 manager, and we are able to do most Medicare and Medicare managed care. We are still not able to do the whole hospital or every service, because we have like 20,000 discharges a year. So it's a big hospital. So we do have CDI weekly meetings, monthly meetings with the HIMs and coders. So as I told you, why was neurosurgery chosen to pilot the CDI program? It was because it was considered a top performing provider in the service area for aneurysm and other neurosurgical treatments. So most of the suburbs of Illinois, most patients with who are having neurosurgery problems that require higher level of care are being transported straight from the hospitals to our hospital for tertiary services. So most of these procedures that they do on these patients are high cost. Like they would want to do a cerebral angiogram on them, and every day CT scans to monitor them. These are all high cost, and if they don't document properly, we are not getting that money back. They would do a CT scan, and if they don't write cerebral edema in their notes, but it is there in the CT scan, then we are losing an MCC. We are losing a lot of money. So, I think that was why we chose neurosurgery to be our first pilot. And we have a high volume of patients too in the neurosurgery department. The evidence that CC, MCC capture rates did not reflect the quality of care provided. So neurosurgery are, neurosurgeons are bright and they are very hands-on and they want to do their work very well, but they are the worst documenters because they think it's a waste of time to sit and document anything. They would do surgery for 5 hours straight, but to write something is very hard for them. So I think that was also because pressure ulcers not my business. The body mass index, not my business. So many things are not their business, so we have to tell them why it's their business. So the chief medical officer, the chief health information officer were first initially involved when Paula did the audit, and they were included, and they were, it was impressed upon them why this is important and how much revenue this can bring back into the system. And the attending, so once that was convinced, that the CMO was convinced that they had a meeting with the neurosurgery department itself, the attendings, the residents, the APNs, and the CDI managers were all on one table. And then the overview of the CDI program was presented, and the neurosurgery metrics was reviewed before what they were doing, and potential program benefits was identified and told to them. And then a neurosurgery query process CDI champion was selected. And the best thing about this was that we selected a person who has a very big influence on them. It's like if she says something, everybody will do it unquestionably. There is no to it. She's the academic, I forget her title. She's in charge of all the residents, basically. So anything she tells the residents, they have to listen to her. They have to. They do. And she's very good too. She's awesome in her work. So, and they understood that this has improved their publicly reported data. So it's giving them a good, like they're looking good publicly once they do this. And their continued ability to provide data supportive of excellence in patient care and outcomes and opportunity. And they wanted to have an MRI department, like obtain the department enhancement, like intraoperative MRI was something that they wanted the money for. Actually, the university allocates money to all the departments for a year, for your expense. You have so much money, things like that. So what they did is, the money was theirs even before. We didn't give them any money. We just made them look like, if you do this, you get your money. So then it's like actually they had the money with them. We are taking away the money when they don't do what we want them to do, kind of thing. So then we decided that one of us, like me and my colleague, one of us would do the neurosurgery all payers, whether they are Medicare or, the all payers, and the other person would do Medicare only, and then we would compare how we are doing. So that's how we started the program. We tracked query response rates by provider for neurosurgery, and we collected and provided data comparing the current response month to month over a period from July 2014 to September 2015. And then after that, quarterly till date, that was like when I was doing this presentation in May. So initial neurosurgery response rates was from July to September we started with 79.6, and then there were some dips here and there, and for various reasons. The other services we started off with 71.5 services, 5%. Okay, and then this is for from October to December. So by December, neurosurgery reached 100%, and other services were at 84.1. And then from January of 2015 to March of 2015, neurosurgery still maintained 100%, and all other services were at 93%. And then from April to June, this is like quarterly that we have the UHC, the University Health Consortium, they release this quarterly. So neurosurgery again was 100%, and all other pairs were around 90%. So the change was like from 79.6% to 100%. And then throughout from December 2014 to October 2015, it was 100%. So this is like a graphic representation of the same thing that I just explained now. Again, this is again quarterly comparison between the neurosurgery and the other departments. And if you see from the third quarter up, we have reached 100%, and we've been maintaining that. So again, now why kiss my query? Because the majority of UI health physicians have shown that they understand the importance of improved documentation. They are willing, with a nudge sometimes, if they are busy, to revise their chart notes to most accurately reflect the patient's medical conditions and treatment provided. And the documentation culture change is actually taking place in CDI, increasingly viewed as an ally, not an enemy, in the battle of medical record accuracy. So while no one has actually said it, we in CDI know that providers want to kiss our queries because they are so valuable and they make them look so competent. So now this is future direction. This is all my boss's slides, so I will skip through them. As much as I can explain, I will try. So we are trying to, I know when I heard the Rush University presentation, I already see so many things that Dr. Carl sees as his vision. You guys are already doing it. So what I'm thinking is, I think we should collaborate, we should come to you guys and learn something. Maybe it will make our life a little easier. Maybe it will be the same thing that he's trying to do now. So he wants to make it easier for the providers to respond so it's not so cumbersome. Right now what we are doing is, first we send them a query through the Cerner message center, and they have 24 hours time to respond to that. So in 24 hours time, if they don't respond, then they actually get a query through the Outlook, which is the emailing system in the hospital. And if they don't answer for the next 24 hours in the Outlook, then we escalate this query to the physician liaison, who will actually then call them and talk to them. And then they have another 24 hours to answer. And if 72 hours they don't answer, then we actually consider it as not answered, and then we have to actually look at the pattern, go back, to educate them again. So, what Dr. Carl thinks is that if there is probably what he explained to me, what I understood was like, he's trying to make like a document prompter, like when you use your Microsoft to write letters, this one big eye clip will come up and tell you, are you writing an official letter, or are you writing an application? And so what he's trying to do is to incorporate software in a way that when somebody documents, say morbid obesity somewhere or anything about nutrition, some questions come up, and ask the physician, do you think this is the patient is malnourished, or do you think this patient is having cachexia, things like that, which will help them to think and document right then and there. Also the lab values. We know that most physicians, they copy and paste the whole lab values into their progress notes as it is. So when this system, the software, identifies anything that's abnormal, so instead of us having to ask a query, is this patient hyponatremic or hyponatremic or hypokalemic or whatever, the software will prompt and ask hyponatremia question mark, so they will know how that we have to document that. It's a work in progress. This is a concept in his head right now, but they will work and they'll try to figure that out. And also, and then there was different ways of trying to accomplish easy ways and means of trying to help them document. And this is another thing that if you put this, like if the document form comes like this, should they check off one of these and say, okay, this was a CKD stage 3 on this patient, because sometimes they forget to stage, and sometimes if they write CHF, most of the time now they forget if it's a systolic or a diastolic. So if a prompter is telling them, determine which one it is. This was something he was explaining to us on a board and telling what is this, this baby going to be.